podcast produced in partnership with Miami's community newspapers, where we talk about transportation and mobility and things that are related to it. Just a friendly conversation with good people and leaders in our community. I'm your host, Javier Betancourt, Executive Director of the Citizens Independent Transportation Trust, or CITT. We're the agency of Miami-Dade County charged with overseeing the half-penny sales tax for transportation. But enough about me. Let me introduce my very special guest, Eric Knowles. Eric is the President and CEO of the Miami-Dade Chamber, one of the many chambers we have here in Miami-Dade County. And Eric, first of all, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Javier. It's really a pleasure. Been trying to get here for a while, so here we are.
Well, I'm glad you're here now, and I'm sorry we couldn't have done it sooner, but I'm sure we'll become good friends, and you can come back as many times as like. And I was teasing Eric earlier. He's very fashionable, and he makes me look like a bum here. But
no, you look great, man.
Love good-looking man.
Well,
So,
appreciate it.
And I'm not the only one that thinks so. Apparently, this is objective. You are actually, in addition to your job, a bit of an actor and a model, and you're in a lot of commercials playing as we speak, right?
Yeah, I something actually I got into when I got out of the military. Went in the Army for 3 years after high school. Went to college, and then I was like, you know what, I'm not ready to do this. So went in the Army. I was 17. Got out when I was 20.
Thank you for
Airborne.
your service.
Thank you. I was an airborne paratrooper, jumping out of airplanes. Came back to Miami, went to Miami-Dade, and went to FIU, and that's when I started doing my little acting gig and modeling. And I did that for 20 years, and then I did many other things. I worked for a nonprofit in Coconut Grove building affordable housing after college, and then I worked for the Miami Dolphins for 15 years. And I stopped acting and modeling for those 15 years and got back into that business about 5 years ago.
How fun. So how many commercials are running right now with you?
Roughly 14, 15 or so. A couple still in the editing room. Some new ones coming out.
I'll have to get your autograph at the end of the show. That's fascinating. You know, you have a very kind of interesting and very
that's the one thing I say about life. You know, we all, I say it all the time. You know, we grow up when we were in elementary school, high school, whatever, middle school. We had all these dreams and desires of things we wanted to be. A lot of us played the piano. I played the piano and I hated it. I wish I my mother and father would have made me play.
Right.
Mother wanted me to play. Dad was like, well, if he doesn't want to play, don't. I wish they would have kicked me in the butt. But what my point is, we have all these dreams, desires, and goals when we're young, and life comes along and it's put on the back burner.
Yeah.
So we are more than just, being the director of this or the director of that. There's so much in us that we should explore. And I think it makes us much happier than just getting up and going to a mundane job. Not all jobs are mundane, but you know what I'm saying.
But there's much more than that, right?
Exactly.
We're more than our profession.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of very, let's say, Asian attitude is, there's the job, and then there's you as a human being, and everything that encompasses. Kind of going back to the Renaissance man, right? Thomas Jefferson.
I think so.
And you're definitely a Renaissance man, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So let's talk about your profession for a second. So you, as the head of the Miami-Dade Chamber, first of all, tell us about the chamber and how it's unique in relation to other chambers in the community. How many members do you have? What is it you focus on?
The Miami-Dade Chamber's been around since 1974. Actually, next year we are celebrating 50 years. And the interesting thing about our chamber, as you said, there are many chambers. There's the Greater Miami Chamber, which we say is the grandfather of all the chambers, been 100+ years around. I mean, there's the Coral Gables Chamber, my good friend Mark Trowbridge, the Hispanic Chamber, Lilium, and many, many more chambers, Miami Beach Chamber, Gay and Lesbian Chamber, and the list just goes on. And the chambers are put in place. Our mission is to create opportunities for economic and social transformation in our community. And chambers are there to help businesses grow. We don't, a lot of people think they join a chamber and then, manna's going to fall from the sky, and that's not the case. And as you know better than most, it's what you put in. What you put in is what you get out, being engaged. Chambers, for the most part, are run by committees, and each chamber has various committees. There's construction committee, education committee, advocacy committee, and the list goes on. And those are the I guess I would say the brain trust that really propels the chambers along. And that's where members get engaged. And again, people join chambers and they automatically think that the world is going to change for them. But it's what you, again, put in is what you get out. It's the relationships that you build. And then really that's where it begins, those relationships of other businesses that you begin to build opportunities and your business grows.
And all the more important as we kind of transition into this virtual world and virtual meetings, we're losing some of that person-to-person connection. And particularly in the business world, but really throughout life. I mean, those relationships are important, and we're starting to kind of get away from that and lose that. So the chamber really plays a vital, important role in bringing people together.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know, we talked about pivoting during the pandemic, and it was pivoting from being in person, and now we're pivoting back to getting together and attending events, going to seminars, so on and so forth. So you ask what we do. Our focus is providing technical assistance to our members, and as I say, connecting the dots. Where are the opportunities? We don't necessarily provide the opportunities, but we find the opportunities for our members, and we direct them to those. For instance, the Miami Foundation, they just put out a big grant. Several of our members are receiving grants from that Miami Foundation. What happened about a year or two ago, Wells Fargo made the commitment, and they brought $20 million to Miami. And through that commitment, small businesses are getting grants, they're getting technical assistance, and as I said, several of our members are receiving grants, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 to help them scale their businesses.
Sure. And other resources and organizations you're involved in, for instance, like the Beacon Council. And
absolutely.
Well, I don't know if Enterprise Florida is around anymore, but you have different resources that I'm sure you help plug members to. Absolutely.
You mentioned the Beacon Council. I'm on the board of Beacon Council. I'm on the board of the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau, Thelma Gibson Health Initiative, BAC. I mean, the list goes on in terms of organizations. But again, to me, it's about connecting the dots. How do we help one another in our community grow?
Right. Now, one thing that I understand you launched, and I don't know if it's still underway, is the Prosperity Alliance.
Yeah.
Can you speak to that?
Yeah, South Florida Black Prosperity Alliance. The one thing that we realize, and going back to the whole formation of the chamber back in '74, was because of the lack of opportunity for Black businesses. And here today, even in 2023, that still exists, where in Miami-Dade County, Black businesses were receiving less than 2% of county contracts. And it was less than 1.5%, I believe, with Miami-Dade County Public Schools. One thing would happen with Miami-Dade County Public Schools is they did a disparity study, which proved, because you have to prove it through the court of law, and through that, the school board did start and begin a program in which now that number, which was less than 1.5%, is up 10, 12%, where Black businesses are receiving opportunities. The county now is going through or preparing to do their disparity study. And in the sad commentary is the fact that we know there's a disparity, but again, because of law and the courts, you have to do a study. And so through that, we are, you talk about the South Florida Black Prosperity Alliance. We are working together looking at those shortcomings in our community where we can grow as an entire community, not just the Black community, but all of us together working together.
What is it, a rising tide?
Yeah, lifts, all boats. Yeah.
So, as I said earlier, you have an interesting kind of background working in different areas. Talk talk to us about your experience with the Dolphins and I believe the Marlins as well.
Absolutely.
How
That's
did you get there, and what did you do, and what was that experience like? Because it sounds fascinating.
That's the 1997 World Series ring.
That's great.
So, as I mentioned, I worked in Coconut Grove prior to that for, gosh, how long? I started in '84, and then I said I left in '97. But in between, I went to New York in '86 to pursue the acting career.
Okay.
And so I lived in New York for a couple of years, but then I came back and I went back to work for this nonprofit, the Coconut Grove Local Development Corporation. And my role was business developer, helping businesses along Grand Avenue when they're in the Black Grove,
right.
as we called the hole in the donut. We
Yeah.
call the hole in the donut because you think about the Black Grove and then the surrounding areas, Cocoa Walk,
So affluent, yeah.
and the affluent homes on the bay, et cetera, et cetera. And so that was my role. And
By the way, my first homes were on Charles Avenue, 2 shotgun homes.
oh, wow, really?
And at some point, I had to sell them, and then fortunately, they knocked them down, which broke my heart. But
Crazy.
big fan of the West Grove, Black Grove,
Yeah.
Village West, with the number of names it's had over the years.
A little Bahamas now.
Yeah, I love it.
So I was there for those years through 1997, and then the opportunity. It was a nonprofit, and I don't even want to talk about how much money I was making. I remember my first job after I got out of college, working at Jordan Marsh.
Jordan Marsh.
Yeah, you want to know how much I was making?
Tell us.
$11,000 a year.
Wow.
This was in 80. What was that? 82 or so. Yeah, $11,000 a year.
What's sad is there are probably still people making $11,000.
Yeah, that
in this
part.
community. That's a whole nother
But
show,
at the same
yeah.
time, when we talk about that, in '82, I bought my first house, but it's actually my second house. And if we want to talk about something, we talk about this housing issue that we're dealing with. My first house was $35,000.
Right.
So $11,000 salary wasn't so bad.
You could afford.
I could
live
afford
on it
exactly. So anyway, a transition. I said, you know what? I'm working for a nonprofit. I said, I need to make a profit. So I actually started looking. Let me back up. It's in life, a lot of it is who you know, but the other side of that is what? Who knows you?
Oh, I like that better. Yeah.
Okay.
Who knows you?
And what you know helps as well, but who knows you? So I said, well, who do I know that knows someone at the Heat? And a good friend actually had sold or did a deal with Pat Riley. So I said, I reached out to my friend, I need you to introduce me to Pat Riley. But at the time, he was going around the country because they were getting ready to build a new arena. So they were looking at other arenas to begin to design the now present Heat arena. And so I was sitting at a friend's house on a Sunday morning, looking through the classifieds, and there it was, Director of Community Relations for Pro Player Stadium at the time. So I got up, told my friends, and I'd already started working on my resume. So I finished my resume, went home, finished my resume, sent it in. Then I called my friend who worked the games at the stadium. I said, who do you know over at the stadium? So he said, no. He knows this person, knows that person. So I find out that my resume is in the good pile.
Oh, good.
So then a couple weeks go by, I don't hear anything. And I called. They said they hired somebody. And so, I don't know, about a month later, I drove by. I was on the expressway on Turnpike, passing by the stadium on a weekend. And I said that Monday, I said, you know what? Maybe they have something else over there that I can do. So I called. And that Monday morning, talked to the HR director. She said, we were about to call you. The person we hired didn't work out. We want you to come in and talk to us. So that's how I started with the Dolphins and the Marlins and Pro Player Stadium.
That's great. And so you did community relations?
Did community relations, government affairs. And
what does that entail?
And that's really propelled me to where I am now. It's really working with the entire community. Because when you think about the Dolphins, the Marlins, they were the community.
Right.
And when I talk about the community, I'm talking about down in South Dade, Homestead, to Broward. Because at the time, obviously, Wayne was a very Broward-oriented person. Yeah. Wayne Huizinga, the owner of both the Dolphins and the Marlins. So I did a lot of outreach. Talk about chambers. I was involved with the Greater Fort Lauderdale Chamber, Davie Chamber. So I was chamber locked, eccentric throughout.
Great opportunity to give you all this exposure,
And so that
while working for a beloved institution. Right?
Exactly. So that's how I began to get to know the community and involve the Marlins, involve the Dolphins in community outreach. So that's what I was doing. And then again, representing the Marlins, the Dolphins, the stadium in chambers as well. So that's really what I was doing. And government affairs, engaging in the elected officials when they came to the game, meet them at the door, escort them out on the field, those type of things.
My gosh, is this job still available? I think I might apply.
Actually, it is. It is still a job such as that.
I love what I do. I'm not going
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you transition then from that to the chamber? I'm curious.
So I was past chair of the board of the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce. And again, being engaged in all these various chambers, I understand the intricacies of running a chamber. So the opportunity, so let me back up. Actually, in between all of that, I actually worked for American Airlines also. So American called me in '99.
And you worked for all the big boys down here.
American called me in '99 to be the marketing director for the Caribbean. And that was a great job. You know,
you had to fly down to the Caribbean
every week.
You've had a rough life.
It's been real tough. And so, you know, the Beach Boys song, ooh, Bahamas, Bermuda, ooh, Kokomo. So that was me. You know, you jump off a plane, they're waiting, they take my passport. I didn't have to stand in line. They take my passport, stamp it, go outside, the car's waiting, and I go to my hotel and go to meetings and so on and so forth. It wasn't all that, but yes, it was.
The traveling gets a little old.
Yeah, but it was amazing. Yeah. And unfortunately, September 11th happened. Yeah. And so I was actually in Haiti on September 11th. Me and Monsignor Cassell and David Lawrence were down there to present a check for $100,000 to a technical school that was just opening, and September 11th. And in preparation to go do that, we're looking at TV and we're seeing this taking place. And so when I got back, I was laid off on the 28th of September. And I went back I was fortunate to go back to the stadium as a guest services director. Okay. So I ran all the training.
That's why you never burn your bridges. Right?
I'm glad you mentioned that. You never burn your bridges because you never know when you have to go back. Right. So I went back as a guest service director, training all the game day staff, so 3,000 to 4,000 game day staff. And, you know, I was the head hot dog, cold hot dog, warm beer fixer.
Okay. You weren't running up and down.
No. I wasn't running up and down.
Get your hot dogs.
No, I wasn't running up and down selling them. But when someone complained about a whole cold hot dog, I had to go, rectify that, that type of thing. But anyway, great career. And then I left in 2012, and the opportunity came to run the chamber in 2014. Okay. So I threw my name in the hat, and I was kind of just hanging out. My daughter lived in Thailand, and went to Thailand, hung out there for about 30 days, and went to Cambodia and Vietnam. My daughter lives in Cape Town, South Africa, Erica, right now.
You just become more and more envious of your life.
She lived in Peru, had a chance to go hang out in Peru with Erica. And so, and great thing, shout out to Erica. She just had my first grandchild.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. He'll be coming here in November for his first birthday. So
that's great.
I'm excited about that. But, and so I started running the chamber. And it's been fun. It's like running my own business. I get to help a lot of people. As I mentioned, during the pandemic, I worked very closely with the mayor, Jimenez, and helping businesses get back on, point. And so it's been great.
Yeah, no, I think you're the perfect type of person for a chamber. As you know, I'm involved in chambers
Absolutely.
as well. And you're perfect for the role. So.
Yeah, no, it's fun. In things, one thing about life, you have to do things that are fun.
Sure.
And I enjoy my job. And I've been fortunate in doing what I do because no day has ever been the same in any job that I've had, really.
Well, listen, we can't go to the end of the show, and we only have a few minutes left, and not talk about transportation, right? As the name implies, we need to talk about mobility.
Absolutely.
And mobility matters in business, right? And I'm sure the chamber is focused or involved in some way in transportation policy, or trying to advocate for certain projects. Tell us about the chamber's role, your personal role in mobility and transportation. What's the focus? What are you active in? What are some of the priorities for the chamber in that space?
I mean, transportation for us, it's interesting. I go to other cities. You talk about Houston, talk about Atlanta, go to New York, Chicago. I was just in Chicago a couple months ago. Our traffic is not as bad as a lot of people make it out to be. But we do have challenges.
Sure.
The one thing I would say is our public transportation. We don't have the transportation that a New York has or Chicago has, the trains that you can pretty much jump on and get off anywhere. But one thing I would say is that we are working towards being a better connector in terms of our mobility in our community. And it's going to take some time, but it's going to take all of us working together. It's going to take us sacrificing some, because, we talk about the half penny tax. And I think about that. And half penny, yeah, it doesn't sound like a lot. And at the end of the day, it's a lot when you add it up.
Yeah, $400 million a year.
Exactly. It's a lot when you add it up. And to me, we probably need to add another penny.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing we need to talk about. Yeah. We talk about, I was just writing an article the other day about our young professionals, 40 under 40. Mm-hmm. And we're being basically phased out of housing. Yeah. We were just talking about that earlier. And so how do we fix that? I think we ought to look at applying a dollar tax to our tourism, to put a pool of money that they can get grants to buy a house. So we had to look at that. And in terms of transportation, again, that's why we're here. We need to prepare today so that our children's children will have a better community.
Yeah, I think about that with my own kids, right? They're 12, twin girls, and I don't know if they're going to be able to afford to live here, right? And
unless you leave them a house.
That's exactly it. Not everyone is.
No, not everyone has that ability.
And I can't leave it to them until I depart.
Exactly.
Which hopefully won't happen for a while.
Right.
So it's a real problem, and we're going to be facing a brain drain in this community, not because people want to leave, but because they're forced to. So I would agree with you. And they're two sides of the same coin: transportation and affordable housing and land use.
And you talk,
they play off of each other.
Exactly. And with that, you see a lot of condos being built by the rail system, yes. So which is supposed to help folks be able to get back and forth to work. Yeah. But the thing about getting back and forth to work, where's our transportation system going? We talk about the North Corridor, we talk about the South Corridor, so on and so forth, but we really got to bite the bullet and take it on and do it. Otherwise, we'll be here 10 years from now, 20 years from now, talking about the same thing.
Agree. So does the chamber advocate for these things before the commission? Like, what is
Absolutely.
their role in all of this?
Absolutely. We, as I mentioned, have an advocacy committee. Mm-hmm. But when there's an opportunity to come before the commission, we definitely advocate for these and so many other issues that we face.
Well, I like to hear that you're going to lead the charge for another half penny, whatever it takes to get our transportation system.
No, I would love for us to start talking about that.
We have to.
Yeah,
we really do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The reality is we cannot operate and maintain what we have and what we're building without additional funds, much less continue to expand, which is also desperately needed. So, it has to be paid for somehow.
Somehow.
And we don't have enough revenue to do it. So
absolutely.
We're definitely going to have to start that conversation.
Yeah, let's
it's going to be a tough one.
No, yeah. but I don't think it's that tough. Reality, again, we're talking about a penny.
Yeah.
And it's easy for you and I to sit here and talk about, it's
Sure.
just a penny. But I walk along the street and I see pennies on the ground all the time.
Yeah. And they bring good luck, apparently.
If the head is up.
Is that Actually, I hate pennies. That's the irony, is I hate pennies. I'll leave them at the counter, when I get it and change. I'm just
Yeah.
like, I don't want to carry this
But
thing
see,
around.
but think about that. I mean,
I'd gladly give it to someone for transportation.
yeah, but think about that. We're laughing about it,
Yeah.
but think about the fact that, as you said, we'll leave the pennies in the little cup by the store. We really need to think about how we start this campaign.
I love it. I love it. Unfortunately, Eric, we are out of time. As I think we continue this conversation, I'd love to have you back to talk more, because there are many other subjects that we could go into.
Absolutely.
So listen, thank you for joining me on the show. Thank you for everything you do.
Thank
you
you.
for living an interesting life. I'm going to start living vicariously through you.
I said the rest of my life is going to be the best of my life, brother.
That's it, man. Well, thanks again. And thank you for joining us here on Mobility Matters. You can join us here every 2 weeks on Thursdays from 9 to 10 a.m. We'd also like to thank our partners in this endeavor, Miami's community newspapers, for producing and hosting the show. Folks, have a great day. We'll see you next